when people come onto this planet, they think about, I want to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then they forget.
Natasha Venter, welcome to Passion Harvest. Can't wait to our conversation today. Your experiences and all that you do is incredible. Welcome to Passion Harvest.
Well, thank you for letting me be here and being a voice of love for the universe. I am so honored every time I get to be, wherever I'm at, to support people, to support life, to support emotions, to support, the knowings that people are craving to receive. And I am a channel of the universe of love. But I always like to say, people's truth are their truth. I just like to give a perception that they can maybe put in their back pocket and just kind of carry it around and see how that fits into their life, that they can emerge that into who they are. We're in a time where it's not about, changing who we are, but it's about just that, oh, I need to shift that about 1 degree, or I need to shift that about 3 degrees, that concept, it's pretty limiting. Let me just kind of relax it a little bit, give it some breath so that I can kind of get some expansion in my life. We all have so many limiting thoughts and knowings and beliefs that it's like, this is time for expansion, not time to necessarily change it, but just give it some breath. And that's what I love to help people just shift just a little bit. Just, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I can be like that. Oh my gosh, that just helps me so much in all my fashions of my knowings. It's like, okay, here we go.
That's what it's
Yeah.
about. I'm feeling the love. I'm smiling. Gosh, if we can even help just one person, it makes all the difference. I've got a whole list of questions for you. I don't know if we'll get through them. I'd love to start. I mean, your incredible abilities, how you can travel to lifetimes
hmm
and
And I call
your
them, yeah, because it's not past lives, as my evolution has come. It's not about past lives. It's about lives.
so it's all
We are,
it's all happening now. Is that correct?
uh, yes, my brain is trying to grab onto how did Natasha remember the earth being made all those years ago, but yet it's happening in another dimension right now. So my brain is having a hard time understanding that whole concept, but my knowing has it's like, well, yeah, that's the way it is, you
Yes,
know?
I completely agree, but it is the grasping of the concept is incredibly hard. So you've experienced, well, will we call them multiple lives? Do you mind
Mhm.
just sharing about that with the audience, what you've experienced and perhaps how you can do this?
Well, I believe that a lot of people talk about a near-death experience where they, because they grab onto all these abilities. Well, my near-death experience was remembering being born. So I was in the hospital room, in the corner, and then I had the knowing that all of a sudden I saw the inside of my mom and then pop out and see the doctor, round face, white cap, and this is all knowings. It's not necessarily like a meditation memory. It's an all I just it was a knowing I've had my whole life, remembering being a baby even, you know, being picked up out of the crib, remembering all these different aspects. Well, at the same time, these knowings were always with me. So as I grew up and matured my body, that I had these knowings where I'd be walking down the street and all of a sudden I'd have this image of, walking out of a in the Midwest, we would have like sometimes these cabins that if it was up against, you kind of had it up against a hill, but yet you had the front of that was made into a cabin. And I walked out with my two kids, and here's four or five braves on horseback looking at me, knowing that my husband's not there and not sure if he'd ever come back because either he was killed or, buying cattle, and because we lived out in the plains. And so, and I know where it's in the it's in the South Dakotas. I've always had a knowing of these different things. I remember the earth being made, And yes, it's not necessarily all lava and soil. It's not. It's got metal, it's got places to be, it's got these different areas. I can tell you where all the star being areas are, because I remember where they were being made because I was star being watching it happen, you know. And then, it's like I have these, memories of being in a cave, being a mystic, and then being killed. I remember, many times sitting on the gallows, being killed. There's a lot of things that I remember being a girl and finding out my dad was a murderer, and what did I do about that? And so there's a lot of these things that pop up. Not all my lifetimes pop up, but when I've needed them to be a teller, and that's what I love about past other lifetimes, is that they're here to show us that we can be who we are in this lifetime, this dimension, this reality. Because I know that for me, sometimes I felt that in another reality, my soul is dealing with, colon cancer, let's say, because in this lifetime I said no way, but in some reality that my soul needed that experience, you know, and so then I've asked for healing for that soul part of my soul, and so there's these knowings that just pop in, and it's like I can't explain it because it's just something that has been with me my whole life. And people go, "How do you know that? How do you?" There's no words for it because it's just me, and I think that part of it is that me having that connection from birth has given me the ability, and I was in a safe home. I was one of those oddball people that I had a safe home. A lot of people didn't have a safe home where I did, and my dad was very. I came from a very intuitive family, and so he helped me know that I was safe being who I was. If I said something, my cousins even said, Natasha, we're all intuitive, but when you said something, there was something magical that you were said. You were just your light was on brighter than ours, and so, there's that opportunity for us all to be intuitive. We're all intuitive. I just came in with my gas pedal on, you know.
That
So,
it's amazing, and I just love how you say it's knowing. I've had similar experience. It's not going into deep meditation and having these. It's just a knowing. It's just an awareness. It's almost like for me, it was seeing a movie, but
mhm.
it's. I just love how the words, like it really. I got goosebumps. It really resonated. It's just a knowing.
It is. It is. And that's the difference I think that a lot of people, have grown out of their knowings. They're trusting of their knowings. There's a part of me that knows what to do, and I trust her. I trust it. I trust him. I trust them. It's like it's that part of me that always kind of says, yeah, we got this. And I trust it, you know? And a lot of people don't have that understanding, or they've been taught out of it. That, think about it more than feel about it, know about it. And when I say feel about it, it's not the emotional base feeling of it. It's that kind of, I almost kind of explain it like cat whiskers. It's like that sense that you get, that tingling you get, the goosebumps you get, there's something in the air that's not quite right, or there's something in the air that's kind of exciting, and it's that kind of feeling of knowings, if that makes any
It
sense.
does. And having this awareness or these knowings of your other lives, we'll call them the other lives, what what do they in some way teach you certain strengths or gifts, or what have they taught you for this life as Natasha? Or what have you learned?
I get a sense that what they've taught me and the little snippets that they show me, because that's the thing is that I don't get the whole life. I get little moments, some snippets, and those are teaching snippets for me. I have to be me. It's like my husband keeps asking, why do you keep doing this business when I've had the ebb and flow, where, I've been a mom, he's been now 12 years sober. So it's that, getting my life together, but yet I've still been doing this business, of being intuitive, being intuitive clarifications, light worker, and And it's like, why do you keep doing it? It's like, I cannot not do it. It's me. It's who I am. And it's like, if somebody needs emotional support, it's like with discernment, should I help? But I'm here. Just sometimes I just go, do you need a hug? You know? And that's all I say. That's all I do. Sometimes that's what the person needed. I don't need to give myself over, but yet it's that just moment of being, and that's who I am. But it's like going into this that we're all a part of this bigger journey and this bigger piece. So my lifetimes have taught me, shown me times when I've been poisoned or deemed negative or showed me like watching the earth being made and somebody pushed me off my spaceship and I died. And so how can I trust being alive? I came into when I was writing my contract coming in, I remember standing and having this huge book, that I was in, my Akashic records, and it was in the middle of the book, and the being that was saying it was an angel for me, but it could be any being for anybody. That it's like it was raining, and they were saying, what about food? And I go, I am not being poisoned this lifetime. I remember being just adamant. I am not going to have things go down my throat that I do not want to go through. To this day, people ask me, do you want a smoothie? Nope. Mm-mm. That texture is too much like other textures that I've had that my throat, vitamins, I have to eat something to get them down. It's like there's certain things that just my throat just says, no, I am not doing that. There's certain foods that I don't eat today, and partly you know, I'm grateful that other people live in other countries because ours right now is not very good with our food. And so with that, there's certain foods that my body has gotten sensitive to that I'm not allowed to eat, because they know that food is not made well. And so it's a disharmony for my body. And so it's been interesting how those lifetimes kind of teach me, Natasha, this lifetime, it's your time to shine your light. It
That's
doesn't matter where you're at
beautiful.
or who you're with. It's time for you to shine your light. And that's my life calling. My life purpose is to be and help people and to teach. Be my angel self. So it's like there's a calling that we have, calling, and then there's a purpose that I found out.
Oh, I can't wait to dive into this. I just want to backtrack 1 minute. How was the earth created?
The earth was created by, well, I remember a lot of ships coming in.
As in, we'll call them extraterrestrials or outer
Yes, yes,
dimensional
yeah,
beings.
exactly. Yeah. And there was a lot of ships that were coming in that were doing different work and different, each community, I'm going to call them, it's like each community had their little spot that they wanted to have on this earth as their kind of home area. The moon is that way. There's a lot of planets that are this way. But it was made, but then it's like as I'm going deeper into it now that there's these times when they would take from other planets and bring that kind of earth basedness, like the lava is actually I get a sense that it's almost part of the heating system of the earth, and that's why we have volcanoes and stuff, is to let it's the smokestack, basically, type of thing. So the lava is part of that energy field to bring in the heat, the moments, it's almost like I don't want to call it electricity, but it has that sense to it, if that makes any sense. So, it's like there's a lot of metal, or not metal, but it's the what do you want me to call it? It's almost like titanium or something like that. It's not a metal of our planet that it goes in. And so its structure has a lot of metal in it, But yet at the same time, though, it is the rock is part of the structure, to be. But that's why a lot of our rock has been manipulated. And why do we have blocks? Why do we have, because that's part of how the earth was made, was things were, there's big parts of Earth, of other planets that were brought in that and then they had to carve out these little areas and put it in together. And then somehow there's a way that they're with um uh their lasers and stuff, they were able to put things together. It's technology that my mouth and my brain doesn't have for what the bigger picture is, if that makes any sense.
It does.
It
You're
was
doing a good job in words because we're thinking with the mind, but
Yeah, it's amazing how just everything just comes together. There was no like, it's kind of like when you see somebody a team that really knows how to build a house. They just one person comes in and they're a team that works together and they just go boom, 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 and pretty soon you have a well-built house. Well, this is the same way that the Earth was made, is there was this really good teamwork that had built other planets before and did it. That's why our moon is the way it is. That's why there's always the dark side, because it doesn't spin. They made it that way. That's another ship. It's a little bit smaller, and so they were able to incorporate it, with a little bit different texture and that kind of stuff. So, the I haven't sat down and really analyzed it. So you're catching me on a fly, checking in with my team and checking in with things and but you're seeing how I work, that sometimes I don't have the information. So as I start opening up that channel, that knowing, that's why I love organic conversations, because it's like, oh, I didn't know that's how that was done. Okay, so this is the information I'm getting right now. But that's how I trust it, you know?
yeah.
And that's the thing, is that somebody else may come in with another truth and but that's what the puzzle piece of this life is about, is finding out that one person may not have all the information, but it's a collection of getting, you know, a truth, to figure out what the truth is for thyself.
A collaboration. So why
Like,
was what was the purpose of creating the earth?
we as the human have a unique experience. There is very few planets out there, I've been hearing, that have the unique makeup, the unique ability to have this physical body with this soul life, with the emotional base that we have. And our soul learns so much more on this planet. Our soul experiences, yes, we're in the matrix. Yes, we're in an experiment. Yes, but you know what? Right now, I always come back to what's in front of me is what's important. There's a reason why my soul decided to be here. I'm trusting that process. And right now, I'm talking to this wonderful, wonderful woman who is inviting me onto her show. And that's what's important. Right? People get so caught up in the matrix and all that, and the outer stuff. And it actually comes back to here. Who are we while we're doing this? How do we talk with others? It's like I always say, we're spiritual beings having the human experience. We're human beings having the spiritual experience, and it's all one. It's all one. And that's about being. You talk to anybody who channels, and they always come back to just be. Just be. Be.
Did you thank you very much. Did you
Hmm.
choose to return to the human incarnation?
Yes.
Because so many
Mhm.
people, I have so many clients or people that say, I never want to come back. I'm not coming back to this earth. It's terrible. There's so much suffering and conflict. What would you say to that?
I would say yes. I would say yes. Because of the fact that, we come onto this planet saying, like for me, I'm meant to shine my light, no matter what, and I'm not going to be poisoned in the meantime. I'm not going to do all these different things. Well, yeah, I came into my life doing that. Uh, At the same time, though, I had the experience of being very dyslexic. I talked more, the star being language easier than I spoke in English. You know, my husband said when he first met me, Natasha, you speak Natashanese. I turn sentences around and that kind of stuff. But I'm much better than I've ever been. I actually channel a lot during these sessions so that like my nephew said, Natasha, when you're on, you speak fine. But when you get into Natasha's body, you are like turning sentences around and you cannot complete a sentence and all that kind of stuff. But that's that journey of me being me in spite of it. So when we choose to come on this planet, we choose to do that. The thing is, though, some of the people who say there's too much challenges on this planet. That's part of what they're meant to do is get their soul a little bit more awakened through that struggle. Through that struggle. That's the thing about our struggles, our 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 experiences. I'm tired of lessons. It's like those experiences help us to awaken those parts of our soul that needed to be awakened on this human experience. And it's a bigger picture that I don't have words for, and I don't want to even open up that doorway because it's like it would be a floodgate of understandings. And it's still morning for me, so I'm kind of letting my body wake up as I go forward here. But it's that thing. But when people come onto this planet, they think about, I want to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then they forget. Somehow we all have this forgetting. It's kind of, and I almost put it towards the analogy of a woman having a baby. That a woman knows it can be hell having a baby. Their body goes through wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Right? And then we choose to have another one. We choose to have another one. That's the only way that I can really explain the
It's a great
soul's.
analogy. Great.
Yeah. And that's the only way I can explain. And then as we come onto this planet, our soul's journey coming in does not always realize, and we almost come on with some kind of blinders, that there's going to be salt and pepper into this life. I picture it like we come into this life having the perfect stew. It tastes beautiful. It's amazing. And then we have an ant that comes in and puts a little bit extra potatoes in it. Then we have of emotions and story and judgment and whatever. Then we have a father who's maybe an alcoholic and they put in too much salt into the stew, you know? And then by the time we're 5 years old, we don't want to eat that stew. It's out of our vibration. It's out of our knowing because we've had all these human experiences of emotions and story. That's why I love to go in and do some family DNA healing. And I have a session that I do that with. And people said that there's been miraculous work being done with that because they've gone in and they found out who they are again instead of being all this different flavors that were put into us as human beings. And so
Yes.
going into this, it is about discerning through that. There's many people who are able, even though I had a safe home, I had outer life experiences of being judged and bullied and told I was an only child, so I didn't have friends, I didn't have siblings, I didn't have a lot of that outer world stuff to feel safe. And so with that I've been learning how to, both my husbands had addictions, with alcohol, and my first husband had, coke and pot addiction. I had to learn and experience, move 7 times in 3 years to stretch and understand that it's not my outer world that's telling me who I am. I had a mantra that came to me. How I view myself is how others view me. If
Perfect.
I view myself as being dyslexic, has struggles with reading, shy, quiet, That's who people are going to witness me as. No, if I witness myself as being, oh, I'm Natasha, I'm learning how to be more stronger, I'm learning how to experience better, I'm learning how to negotiate my life. Okay, here I go, and that's how people are going to witness me. No, Natasha may not know everything. You know, it's that who are we turning into? We're not who we were. We're not who we are going to be. We are who we are today. And celebrate that. We've come a long ways.
I want to talk about soul purpose and a few other things, but we can get so stuck in the past. And you spoke about trauma and DNA trauma as well, which is from our lineage, but our future, and we're always wanting this, and we're stuck between past and future, which can often
Mm-hmm.
be create incredible suffering.
It can. Oh my gosh, it can. And it does. It does. Trauma and drama is real. Trauma and drama is real. And that's one thing that I understand, like entities and energies, that we have everything is energy. So if we've been angry for most of our life, a lot of us have this entity or energy of anger and frustration. And if we can help shift that into calm and understanding, what a way to help us walk with calm and understanding, because anger needed to be transformed into a different energy. And that's how we move into the present moment. So our future, whatever that looks like, can be more peace and more love. And so that's what I love to support people in, is shifting. Like I did a session the other day, and she was carrying so much shame for the decisions that were made around her. Yes, she had part of it, but she wasn't the only one that was making decisions. She was carrying shame for everything, you know? And it was like I put my hand on her chest and I said, and the sun is rising up. That's
Beautiful.
that's the light coming across. That, it's like I put my hand on her chest and I said, please let go of the shame. And she broke down in tears. And what a time for the sun to start coming out when we're talking about all this. But that's the universe. It's so magical in the moment that if we allow the universe to say, I'm talking about shame and guilt and all the old stories, and the light is coming in, right? It's like, let the light in where there's darkness. And that's vulnerability. Vulnerability is one of our greatest strengths so that we can be who we are. We can't change the past, but we can negotiate where we're at in the present.
Beautiful. So, for those of the audience that are listening or watching, um, and as you mentioned, I know you do house clearings and personal energy healing for someone that wants to change their life, that perhaps are stuck in a cycle of grief or negativity. What are some tips you could offer them to change their now, to change the baggage from the past, or to what's it called, the graveyard of the past that's still living in?
Yes, exactly. It's uh, you know, not every not every tool is supportive for everyone. I, being dyslexic, see pictures a lot
Mhm.
in my head. I'm always seeing pictures. And so, but I use mantras a lot. And I don't go into long mantras. I like the quick, like when I'm in an argument and I'm having to deal with my personal PTSD moments, you know, the mantra that comes up real quick is I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, you know, because my nervous system needs to feel safe in order to move forward. Another one that I use is, what is this here to teach me? If I'm in a moment and I'm in a struggle moment, an argument, somebody not doing something that is in alignment with me, um, a car stops in front of me, a black cat runs in front of me, it's like whatever that moment is, what is this here to teach me? And it could be even a joyful moment. It could be, a wedding. It could be someone having this blessed conversation. I can say, what is this here to teach me? You know, and so using these quick mantras, I'm loved, I'm loved, loved, I'm loved, I'm loved, I'm loved. Another one that I use, which when something is bigger than me, and sometimes my emotions are bigger than me, I'm asking for divine healing on this. And I have used this so many times. And then I call in deities that I trust. It could be Ganesh, it could be Mother Mary, Jesus, it could be Ascended Masters, it could be a star being that somebody trusts, it could be anything that anybody, it could be an animal of past and now, like my Rocky is my familiar, I can call in his energy. Calling in these beings that can assist in the journey. So like if I'm having a conversation with someone that goes awry, the first thing that I say is I'm asking for divine healing on this. Please help us communicate better so that we can both be our greater selves. And I can tell you within probably a half an hour, because I've taken my foot off the gas pedal. I've taken myself off of control. I've taken myself out of needing to fix it. And I've surrendered. And I trust that the greater good can happen. And I've practiced this for years. So I don't want to say that this is something that this is something that I've practiced to get to here. I've been married 32 years, and he's only 12 years sober. So I've had to practice many years with struggle. And doing that, I can tell you that within a half an hour, there's healing that has happened. Conversations starting up again, things are turning around, there's something that's happening in my day-to-day job that I do. I've even in the middle of a session when when there's something that's stirring up in an emotion, I ask for divine healing on this. And pretty soon the person is like breathing again. And it's not necessarily that it's a fix, but it's a breath of opportunity. And so using these mantras, that's how I would say that I go in and help shift up some of these moments that old story wants to creep in, or old patterns wants to creep in, or PTSD moments, or doubt wants to come in. It's about that moving things around and moving things forward, if that makes any sense.
Yes, that was great. I know you have quite a few mantras on your website. Natasha, where's the best place for people to connect with you?
You can find me at intuitiveclarifications.com. And I do on social media, I do a mantra a month. And this is, uh, you know, and this month's mantra is I'm walking in divine timing. Because
Perfect.
a lot of us are struggling with I'm walking with divine timing because so many of us want the now. We want it now. And it's not happening now. We're going through so much change right now that sometimes when we're in destruction, we can't be in creation, but we can start planning for creation by being available, letting the universe talk with us, negotiate our story. It is about finding peace here, here, and here.
You spoke before about intuition. Many people can't seem to tap in or are not connecting to their intuition. What's your advice or tools or tips to connect with one's higher guidance or intuition?
Practice. Practice with trust. Practice with understanding that it can be wrong. Practicing with the ability to say that, hey, there is a part of me that knows what to do. So going into this, okay, so one way to practice this is that if you're walking down the street or driving down the street and there's somebody in front of you and you kind of go, what are they going to do? Are they going to go right, left, or forward? And you trust that statement. At the next light, are they going to go? Some people feel it, some people hear it, some people see it, some people just know it. It's kind of like a hearing, seeing, feeling It's one of the clairs. So if you check in with the clairs, some people will feel like their body go to the left. Oh, they're going to go to the left. Or they feel like they're not going anywhere. So it's like, okay, they're going to go forward. So you check in and go, oh, I was right. Or I was not right. They just went forward. But what did your body feel that you can check in with? What is that answer? What did you see that you can check in with? What sometimes you have to be not right to know what the body, the emotions, the what you hear or see is trying to tell you. Because you have to have this parallel of yes and no's to get, oh, that's what they were meaning. Oh, that's what they were talking about. I'm gonna have to try to change. The sun is like coming in the window. I can't move my
It's okay.
table.
Take your time.
It's that moment where we're all in the moment where life is happening and all we can be is ourselves. So trusting that. A lot of us have been practiced out of trust. A lot of us when we were kids said, "Mom, I don't feel like that was right." "Oh, don't worry about that. I don't know what you're talking about." And then we learn not to trust that part of us that was speaking to us. So going into this, it's relearning that we're okay, that we're safe, that we have the ability to negotiate this. So practicing that. When you're on your with your phone, if you're getting a phone call, turn it over and see, or a text. Oh, I got a text. Who texts me? So when you practice this, and this is not sometimes people get it right away. But some people need to practice that trust. Oh, and getting out of the way, because it is the first thought you get, or the first feeling you get, or the first knowing you get, or the first energy that you get, you know. And also, if something doesn't feel right, don't walk into it. A lot of people forget that these feelings of fear and anxiety are tellers. They're tellers. And so if we can practice taking a moment and saying, this does not feel right. What do I need to do? I need to stop for a minute and just say, okay, what is this about? And so when we start being more not on the reaction side and more into the interaction side, that's where we can really get into the ability. That didn't help. There we go. The ability to negotiate the story. So that's what I would say is that for people who are wanting to negotiate, trust what they're getting, trust what they're feeling, trust more what they're being told, and because your intuitive team will always be positive. You may not want to do that. That doesn't feel right. Or, can you go into that grocery, yeah, that feeling, why do I have to go in the grocery store? I don't need anything. Why do I go in anyways if you got the time? Because you never know what they're going to lead you to. A lot of times we'll get triggers to do something that actually the purpose that we're doing it is after the trigger. A lot of people think that the answer is the trigger. I need to go to the grocery store. Well, maybe it's the journey while you were in the grocery store that you heard this conversation, that you picked up this fruit that your body needed to eat, or, that you walked in and you saw, oh, like one day I walked in and my son was walking, he works at a grocery store. He was walking towards me and it was like perfect divine timing. That's called synchronicity. That's called synchronicities. So when you have these synchronistic moments, that's when the universe is telling you you're more on the right track. But trust, vulnerability, and believing is the keys to that story. Because a lot of people get told, get shown, get negotiated certain things, and they don't believe it. Nope, that didn't happen to me. Nope,
Or they
I
don't
didn't
want
get
to
that.
believe it.
They don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe it. And so it's that moment where it's magic is here. Magic is here. Magic is here. So actually my room might start. I have this one crystal and the sun is probably going to come up where you're going to start seeing rainbows all around my room.
Beautiful.
So I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but they're starting to come up on the floor. So
You have an incredible connection with your spirit team, Ascended Masters, Archangels. Can you share a bit about that with the audience? And also, you do incredible channeling with Ascended Masters or Archangels,
Mhm.
including Archangel Michael, who's a famous one.
Oh, he's with everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that people say, how does Archangel Michael, how does Mother Mary, how does Jesus go everywhere? They're everywhere. How do they go? They're not fragmented, but their soul goes to these different places and can be in multiple places. But our energy does that too. That's why we can be in different lifetimes at the same time, because our soul is expansive. And that's another piece to that story we were talking about earlier about lifetimes, different lifetimes at the same time. Well, our soul can do that too. And so going into this, that um I'm sorry, I got distracted out that with that statement because that's a big picture. So you asked me the question of
Your connection with your Archangel, particularly Archangel Michael, or how they can just be in multiple locations at once.
because they are fragmented. And not fragmented, but their soul walks in different places. And the way that it could be explained is like a little piece goes here, a little bit piece goes there, but the fragmented word can be the thing that people can maybe see how that happens, but they're never fragmented. They're all one at the same time. It's kind of like when you put a puzzle piece together, the puzzles are all over the table. They're spread all over the world, right? They're not fragmented. They're just not put together. But when you put the puzzle piece together, that's when it's all one. And so that's where it's like these knowings that my different parts of my soul come into, come into this understanding. And I call it like coming home. It's coming home because this is where my soul is very on in this lifetime, where it's not on as mentioned in other lifetimes. And so going into this, that my connection, well, I have an understanding that many of us, our soul is very unique to each individual. We're a little bit of a star being, star seed. We're a little bit of an angel. We're a bit of a fairy. Now I get that fairies are the star beings of our planet. Angels are even a part of are part star being, but they are just uniquely them. They are the purest star beings, right? So and we are star beings. That's why there's earth angels. That's why there's these different beings that are around us. I even have house angels, and everybody has house angels. That's why I call in to help cleanse the earth, cleanse the house. And I'm trying not to get distracted by me not being totally on here in my view. So
You're fine. You're doing fine.
so going into this, that as we go forward and be, we are them. We are them. And so going into this, that when we are talking with Jesus, we are them as people who have the belief of a religion usually understand that they are a part of God or a part of Joshua or whoever it is, right? Well, we are because we are a part of everything. And so when I channel and when I go into this, that I'm going home with them. I'm home with them because they are part of my team. And I have a gatekeeper that I trust that only channels the beings that I understand and that are for my greater good. So like if I'm talking with someone's dad or something, they stand right here. They're never going to channel in me. If I have some of the ascendant masters, they're right here and I'll give the message, but I will not channel them because they're not clean beings. And this being wants clean beings. I've been sabotaged before with darkness, and I'm not going to go there if I can help it. I'm not afraid of darkness. I'm not afraid of I'm not afraid of the devil. I'm not afraid of the evil, but I don't want to deal with it inside me. I have done it a couple times and it's not fun, you know. And so but I know that the angels and like I channel Makai, and he is a star being from the Council of the Councils. And he came to me just of late, and but he calls me sister, you know, and so I just kind of align with their energies and I negotiate with them. So when I'm channeling, I'm trusting them coming to me and me being myself because I'm centered. A lot of people who channel, you'll find them that they need to be more grounded and they need to be more centered, because if they're not grounded and centered, that's when their body starts getting more sicker and sicker because it's hard to hold that vibration. For me, I know my body needs to be healthy, is called to be healthy, wants to live. I want to be, 100 and something to alive. It's like I know that I can be there. And and so with that, my body's vibration needs to handle what is happening with me. If that makes any
Yes, it
sense.
does. It does. Um, for those that haven't heard any of your channelings, what are what are the theme, or what do the ascended masters or whoever it may be, what are your messages?
I channeled, I'm not going to channel right now. But because my body isn't ready yet
No, I'm just
to
asking
do
what.
that. But I channeled Jehoshaphat one day, and he he gave this great analogy, and I'm going to make a video on it, that when we're having the human experience and emotions, that it's like driving a car. There's some humans that they get in, they're driving the car, and anxiety is white-knuckled trying to drive the car of us. I love this analogy. But what we're supposed to do is use the beings, the knowings, the emotions, the stories of us, and change it out. So let's say ego. Ego may help us, or motivation might help us get up out of the chair. So it's driving the car for a few minutes. And then understanding comes and drives the car for a little bit. Yep, this is the understanding I'm going to do. I'm going to vacuum, and then I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And then anxiety may get in the car. Well, can I lift up the vacuum cleaner? It's quite heavy, for some of us who have physical aim, situations. And then fear kind of maybe come in for a few minutes. But then ego comes in and says, nope, we got it. We got it. And then maybe understanding comes back in. Okay, let's pull it out. Let's do what we're needing to do. And so we're meant to have these different energies that pop in and help us move forward. Because anxiety is about, can I do it? Fear is about, should I do it? Right? And if we can kind of understand that things move through. And so getting these messages that we are in the moment where life is happening to us, for us, so that we can be our heightened self. So I love that analogy, that
I
it's
love it
like,
too.
so it's like if we're in the moment where we're stuck in one emotion, let somebody else in. Who else can tell me what to do right now? Oh, trust wants to drive for a little while. Okay. Maybe surrender needs to drive for a little while. Or maybe it's the emotion of that needs to drive for a little while, right? Because some emotions don't have words. Some feelings don't have words. And that's what people want to put in, is that they want to make everything, especially if they're born with a logical mind. They're born with a logical mind. They want to be right here with it. They want to understand it. And some things aren't understandable or worded. It's sometimes it's like a moment, or a, like they're doing something, right? It's about being. It's about being,
And not
it's
being
about
stuck,
being.
because life is the commonality of life is growth. It's nothing
Exactly.
remains stagnant. Natasha, I've loved
Mm-mm.
having you on the show. I've got one more question if you have time.
Sure.
It's a big subject, but it's fascinating. You spoke about other lives, or one can call them past lives, but other
Yeah, whatever you
lives.
want to call it.
What about parallel lives? So multiple versions of Natasha, or multiple versions, infinite versions of Luisa.
That's the lives that we're living. If anybody saw Doctor Strange, multi-universe, that is basically the way that the universe is. It's all aligned. We have these lives that are right here. Actually, they're pretty much right here. And that's where people are starting to feel the shift of the dimensions because we're starting to open up to understand that, wait a minute, I put my keys down right there. Well, yeah, you put them in another dimension, maybe,
Mm.
right? And then the dimension says, oh, wait a minute, these are keys that belong in this dimension. They'll put it back where it needs to go. And then you find them. I just looked there and they're there again. We're having these awakenings that we're in parallel dimensions, and those are other lifetimes. Those are other lifetimes. They are parallel lives. It's the same language, it's the same definition. It's just the understanding is growing as we're maturing. That's why so many past lives have been available for us to know because those are the dimensions that are maybe a little bit further out. Those are the parallel lives that are a little bit further out because they're on a different timeline. You know, even though time is elusive and time is now. But that's what I was saying at the beginning of this. There's things that are like my mind is trying to wrap around it, even though my knowings know about it.
I love the
But I was
knowings.
lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was lucky that my brain was like going, let me think about that more than no, heck, no, I ain't going there. I was born actually, that's where I was grateful my dad was the way he was, and my mom was the way she was and my family, because it was safe to be me in my inner world, so I was able to stretch and pull. So going into this, that's that understanding of wisdom that's coming, and who are we and what are we, and going forward, all dimensions are around us. All dimensions are around us. And if we can trust that process, that's why I have this mantra. In this dimension, in this body, in this timeline, in this knowing, I am driving down the road and I'm staying in here. I want to be safe. I want to be knowing. I'm calling in miracles and amazing things in unpredictable and amazing ways. I'm going forward. Another mantra that I use, especially with all the energies we're going through, is, I tune to the energies of the now. Father Sky, Mother Earth, balance me so that I can be my better me in this lifetime, in this knowing, in this body, in this physical form as I'm walking or driving towards where I'm going. So I do say a lot of these kinds of mantras for me to be aligned in the Natasha of this lifetime, sitting with Luisa, doing this action. Because if I concentrate about others, then that's where I start getting, I'm going to call it fragmented mentally, because I'm not centered here. If you watch a bird fly, are they grounded? They're centered. They're centered. When they land, yes, they connect with Earth, but when they land, they're centered. That's what I want to be, is more centered in this body so that I can move from dimension to dimension, to reality to reality. Because if I'm centered, I have my knowings and my ability right here. So when a bird is flying and all of a sudden wind goes whoop, whoop, they're not as centered, are they? But they come back to center whenever they can. And so with that, yes, centered has groundedness in it, but you can be centered in an airplane. You can be centered in a car. You can be centered as you're spinning around in a tornado because there's always a center of the tornado. There's
Presence, or the present thing in the
the
present.
present moment, the present moment. Exactly. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So yeah, so with that that helps me channel more. That helps me be in the moment that I'm in and that's that part of me coming into being this person in this lifetime, even though I have the understanding of the matrix, even though I know that we are just I'm just a grain of sand in the bigger picture of the life. But what's important right now is for me to be me because I am one grain of sand that makes many sands. That helps this world be better. And that is what I am called to do.
Lovely. Natasha Venter, I've loved having you on Passion Harvest. On a final note, is there anything you would like to share with the Passion Harvest audience that I haven't perhaps asked you? Or any final messages? I'm putting it over to you. It's your show
Thank you.
today.
That the universe of love really wants us to remember we're perfectly imperfect in this journey of life, and that we are free from being the stories that are around us. Right now, we're in the evolution of finding out our individual truths. The only truth that I can say that is the truth is divine love. Everybody else has a truth. And remembering, if we can remember that, as many people are on this planet, that's how many truths and perceptions they are that change minute by minute. And so if we can have compassion and love for ourselves, that we are one of many that is trying to find our truth, that, like I said, we're not our old stories, especially if one's made for us. It's time for us to be our story. It's time for us to be our knowings. It's time for us to believe in us. And as I said at the beginning of this, that everything I've said in this show is a truth that I hope that you can put in your back pocket and carry it around for you to see who you can be. It's your story that you're meant to be. The thing is, though, if we can have understanding that everybody has their own story and compassion for that. That's why I always say, I don't judge. If I've done it in this lifetime or another one, how can I judge? Right? It's like we all have had something. We've all had a lifetime where we've been the richest person. We've all had lifetimes where we've been the poorest person. We've all had lifetimes where we've been a monk or a leader, and we've not all made good choices. So if we can have that understanding that this lifetime we're meant to learn da 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 da.
Inspiring.
May healing be upon this. I'm asking for divine healing on this. I'm
Yes.
asking for divine healing on this.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Natasha Venter. Thank you for being on Passion Harvest.
Well, thank you, my dear. You are a miracle in the works.
You are. Thank
And,
you very much.
and thank you for everything you're doing. You're bringing a lot of light and love to this world. And do you have a grandmother or a mother on your other side?
Yes, both.
Both. A mother came through first, but a grandmother stands right behind her. And as they were perfectly imperfect on this earth, they both want you to know that you are the lineage of woman and to stand in that power.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's time for you to smile upon yourself. They're both saying.
Oh, I'm stuck for words now. Thank you. Big hug.
No,
Oh,
they're giving you a
oh,
hug. They're giving you a hug.
that was lovely.
You're more than welcome.
Hmm.
Blessings be to you.